Look, I've been Commander-Rec of the Krillian Defense Corps for 17 cycles now, and I thought I'd seen every possible threat the galaxy could throw at us. Rogue artificial intelligences? Check. Dimension-hopping parasites? Dealt with them. Space pirates who thought raiding colony ships was a solid retirement plan? Please, I've got 4 arms. I can fill out the arrest paperwork while simultaneously restraining 3 of them. So when the annual Galactic Security Summit rolled around on Vigilance Prime, I expected the usual song and dance. Literally, because Director Karzoon always insisted on starting these things with the Mantrek ceremonial clicking, which sounds like someone tap dancing in a silverware drawer. The conference room was packed with the galaxy's finest. Captain Thornbeak, an Avix who looked like someone had given a paranoid chicken a military commission and access to espresso, kept eyeing the air vents like assassins might pour out any second. Officer Glim, a cheerful Vortine who resembled a purple blob wearing a badge, had positioned himself near the snack table, because of course he had. And then there was Director Karzoon himself, an insectoid mantrek whose idea of efficiency was requiring 12 forms to request a form. The director clicked his mandibles officiously. We shall now review this cycle's threat assessments. First, the Omega Sector dimensional rifts. I half-listened as Thornbeak launched into a presentation about anomalies that could theoretically unleash Lovecraftian nightmares into our reality. Standard stuff. My lower left arm was busy with my datapad, checking sports scores from the Krillian homeworld. We were losing. Again. Then Pip spoke up. Pip was a junior analyst, some kind of multi-tentacled species whose name I could never pronounce, and he had the survival instincts of a tourist at a black hole photo opportunity. Excuse me, Director Karzoon? Pip's translator made his voice sound like a nervous teenager. Shouldn't we discuss the new species that just achieved faster-than-light travel? Karzoon's antennae twitched with annoyance. The humans? Really, Pip? We have actual threats to discuss. But they're from Earth, and the preliminary data suggests that they're adorable, Glim burbled enthusiastically, pulling up an image on the main screen. Look at them. They're so soft and squishy. No exoskeleton, no natural armor plating, no venom sacs, no talons. They're like little bipedal stress toys. The room erupted in laughter. Thornbeak literally ruffled his feathers in amusement. They don't even have a proper threat display. What are they going to do? Show us their teeth? I've seen their teeth. They're pathetic. My hatchlings have scarier teeth. I had to admit the humans did look remarkably non-threatening in their file photos. Smooth skin, forward-facing eyes, and apparently they came in a hilarious variety of colors and sizes. Their ships were functional but unremarkable. Their technology was decent but not revolutionary, and according to intelligence reports, they'd only stopped fighting each other about 50 cycles ago. They held together their first moon landing craft with duct tape, Thornbeak cackled. Duct tape. Do you know what that is? It's adhesive fabric. They went to space on a prayer and sticky cloth. Moving on, Karzoon declared, mandibles clicking in what I recognized as his version of dismissive laughter. The humans are cleared for standard cultural exchange protocols. Nothing more exciting than meeting another species of spacefaring herbivores, I'm sure. Actually, Pip tried again. According to their biology reports, they're omnivores who are specifically adapted for... Pip, please, I'm sure the humans are lovely. Next item, the Void Collective's recent expansion into Sector 7. I should have paid more attention to Pip. The kid was clearly nervous about something. But hindsight, as the humans apparently say, is 20/20, whatever that means. I found out later it refers to their vision measurement system, which is as needlessly complicated as everything else about them. If I'd known what was coming, I would have evacuated the station right then and there. The human liaison arrived 3 standard hours later, and my first thought was that someone in the diplomatic corps had made a terrible mistake. Ambassador Jake Kowalski did not look like someone who represented an entire species to the galactic community. He looked like someone who'd gotten lost on the way to a beach party and accidentally wandered into a space station. Under his official Earth diplomatic uniform jacket, which looked uncomfortable and ill-fitting, he wore what I later learned was called a Hawaiian shirt, covered in images of earth plants and something called a surfboard. He had a bag over his shoulder that appeared to be held together with hope and more of that duct tape, and when he smiled at us, showing those allegedly pathetic teeth, he radiated the kind of aggressive friendliness that made my combat instincts twitch. "Hey there," Jake said, sticking out his hand in the human greeting gesture. "I'm Jake. This is so exciting. First human at Vigilance Prime, right? I brought snacks." Glim, bless his gelatinous heart, was the first to approach. "Welcome, Ambassador Kowalski. We're delighted to have you." Oh man, just call me Jake. Ambassador sounds like my dad. He proceeded to shake Glim's pseudopod with enough enthusiasm that the Vortine jiggled. "And you are?" "Officer Glim." "Would you like to sit down? You must be tired from your journey." "Nah, I'm good. 8-hour flight, I slept most of it. Plus, you know what they say, sitting is the new smoking." He laughed at what I assumed was a human joke, then noticed our blank stares. "Right, you guys don't know about smoking. Lucky you. Anyway, I brought Earth snacks for everyone." He started pulling items from his bag, something called beef jerky that made Thornbeak physically recoil when he smelled it. Is that preserved muscle tissue?" the Avix squawked. "Yeah, cow. It's really good. You want some? You eat other creatures?" Thornbeak's feathers were standing on end now, his paranoia kicking into overdrive. "I mean, yeah? Humans are omnivores. We eat plants and meat. You guys don't?" Jake looked around at our horrified faces. Well, the ones who had faces. Glim just sort of quivered. "Oh geez, are you all vegetarians?" I should have asked. "I've got trail mix too. That's just nuts and dried fruit and, actually there might be some chocolate chips in there, and chocolate has milk, so that's still animal product." I decided to intervene before Thornbeak had a panic attack. "It's fine, Ambassador Jake. We simply have different dietary requirements. Please tell us about your journey to Vigilance Prime." "Oh man, it was wild. Well, not that wild. Wilder than my second trip to Mars, but way calmer than the time our shuttle got caught in that debris field near Titan. That was my third oopsie incident." "Oopsie incident?" I asked, pulling out my datapad to start the standard security assessment protocol. Just routine. Every new species got one. I activated the console with my lower right arm while my upper arm stayed focused on Jake. "Yeah, you know, near-death experience. We've all got a few, right?" He said this like he was discussing a common cold. The security console hummed to life behind me, beginning its automated threat analysis. I barely noticed. I was too busy watching Jake pull up images on his personal device. "This is my dog, Rex. He's a German Shepherd." The creature on the screen looked like a small wolf with friendlier eyes. "Best boy in the world. Loves fetch, hates the mailman, standard dog stuff. That's your pet?" Thornbeak was now backing toward the door. "That's a predator." "What? No, he's a sweetheart." "Okay, yes. Technically, dogs are descended from wolves, but we domesticated them like 15,000 years ago. They're family now." Behind me, I heard the security console beep. Not unusual. I glanced back and saw the threat assessment level had moved from green to yellow. Weird. The thing about security consoles is that they're designed by the most paranoid artificial intelligences in the galaxy. They analyze everything: biological capabilities, technological level, historical conflict data, psychological profiles, even dietary habits. A yellow alert just meant the system wanted more data before giving a final assessment. Happened all the time with species that had any kind of natural defenses. I turned back to Jake, who was now showing Glim pictures of his family back on Earth. Normal stuff, nothing concerning. A female human he called his sister, a small human he called his nephew. Something furry he called a cat that apparently ruled his household despite being a fraction of his size. "So, Jake," I said, trying to keep things professional while my lower left arm discreetly checked the console. "What do you do on Earth when you're not being an ambassador?" "Oh, I'm a park ranger. I work in Yellowstone National Park. It's this huge nature preserve with geysers and bears and wolves and tourists who think getting selfies with bison is a good idea." He laughed. "Keeps me busy. Had a close call with a grizzly last year. That was my fourth oopsie incident, actually." "You have incidents with predatory megafauna regularly enough that you've numbered them." Thornbeak had given up on subtlety and was now openly pressed against the far wall. "I mean, it's part of the job, you know. Someone's got to make sure people don't do stupid stuff in the wilderness. Plus, the bears were there first. We're in their home. Gotta be respectful. The console beeped again, more insistently. Orange alert now. I was starting to pay closer attention. What kind of stupid stuff? Glim asked, fascinated. Oh man, where do I start? Last month a guy tried to put a baby elk in his car for a photo. Before that, someone thought it would be fun to swim in a hot spring that's literally boiling temperature. People forget that nature isn't like a theme park. It's wild. It can kill you if you're not careful. And you willingly work in this environment? I asked. Best job in the world. I love it out there. The hiking, the camping, the rock climbing on my days off. Actually went bouldering last week and took a pretty gnarly fall, but that's what crash pads are for, right? The console went from orange to red. Not critical yet, but red was definitely get your attention time. I pulled up the analysis on my datapad, reading while Jake continued chatting with Glim about something called whitewater rafting, which sounded like deliberately throwing yourself down a river full of rocks for entertainment. The console had started compiling a list, a very concerning list. Human biological traits, endurance predators, exceptional at cardiovascular sustained activity, persistence hunters, pack coordination, advanced problem-solving capabilities, precision throwing appendages adapted specifically for projectile weapons, binocular vision for depth perception, exposure to high-gravity death world for entire evolutionary history. Death world? I pulled up Earth's environmental data. The console had flagged it automatically. Class 4 death world. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, severe weather patterns, tectonic instability, aggressive megafauna, numerous venomous species, and an atmosphere that had apparently tried to kill everything on it multiple times through mass extinction events. Jake? I interrupted his story about something called skydiving, which seemed to involve throwing yourself out of aircraft for fun. What do humans do for recreation? Oh, tons of stuff. Sports mostly. I love soccer, basketball, rock climbing like I mentioned. My sister's into marathon running. My nephew's only 7, but he's already doing martial arts. Martial arts? Yeah, like organized fighting systems? For self-defense and discipline and stuff. Karate, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai. There's hundreds of them. Humans have been developing combat techniques for thousands of years. It's really interesting from a cultural perspective how each region developed their own styles based on, He paused, noticing our expressions. You guys okay? You all look kind of freaked out. The console hit critical alert status. Alarms hadn't started yet, but they were about to. The AI had cross-referenced human history databases. Warfare, continuous for entire recorded history until 50 cycles ago. Nuclear weapons, developed and used. Space exploration, achieved despite multiple catastrophic failures and casualties. Cultural approach to danger, recreational. Pain tolerance, extremely high. Threat response, persistence until threat is eliminated or human is deceased. Pack loyalty, extreme. Just Jake, Thornbeak said, voice shaking. What do humans eat? Specifically? I already mentioned we're omnivores, right? Vegetables, fruits, grains, meat, fish, dairy. Pretty much anything that's not poisonous, and honestly, sometimes we eat poisonous stuff too if we prepare it right. There's this fish in Japan called fugu that can kill you if it's cut wrong, but people eat it anyway because it tastes good, and the danger makes it exciting. The console's conclusion flashed across my datapad. Catastrophic threat level, species, classification, apex persistence, predator with pack hunting behavior and tool use. Oh no. The alarm started screaming. Not the polite beeping that indicated a minor security concern. Not the steady pulse that meant someone had forgotten their access credentials. This was the full-throated wail that meant the station's artificial intelligence had detected something it classified as an existential threat to everyone on board. Red emergency lights bathed the conference room in what I'm sure the humans would call dramatic irony. Whoa! Jake jumped, and I noticed with my combat-trained eyes that his jump wasn't a panicked flail. It was a controlled movement, balanced, ready to react to threats from any direction. Predator instinct. What's going on? Is there a fire? Everyone remain calm. Director Karzoon's mandibles were clicking so fast they sounded like maracas. Security Protocol Omega, seal the conference room. Glim had gone from purple to a pale lavender that I recognized as Vortine fear coloring. Commander Rek, what's happening? I held up my data pad, showing the threat assessment. The security console has classified our guest as a catastrophic threat. What? Jake looked genuinely confused. Me? I'm just a park ranger. A park ranger. I read from my data pad, from a Class 4 death world belonging to a species of persistence predators with advanced tool use, pack hunting behavior, extreme pain tolerance, and a cultural tendency to seek out dangerous situations for entertainment. Okay, when you say it like that, it sounds bad, but I'm really not dangerous. I'm like the least dangerous human. You should meet my sister. She does CrossFit and she's a lawyer. This did not have the reassuring effect he intended. Thornbeak had activated his personal shield generator and was now glowing with a faint blue protective field. Let me get this straight, I continued, my professional security training kicking in despite my rising panic. You evolved on a planet that actively tried to kill you? You domesticated wolves for companionship? You invented hundreds of different ways to fight each other for sport? You eat other predators? And you consider jumping out of aircraft to be fun? Well, yeah, but the wolf thing was like 15,000 years ago, and we use parachutes when we jump out of aircraft. We're not crazy. You went to your moon in a spacecraft held together with duct tape. We also had some really good math, and bravery, and, okay, yes, a lot of duct tape. But it worked, didn't it? Jake was getting defensive now, which made him stand up straighter, which made him look more imposing, which made Thornbeak whimper. The console continued its analysis, pulling more data from Earth's cultural database. I watched in horror as it scrolled through human achievements. Domesticated predators, wolves, cats. Consumed predators, sharks, alligators, octopi. Recreational activities, extreme sports, horror entertainment, competitive combat, persistence hunting, philosophy. Literally translates to love of wisdom, but involves questioning everything until existential crisis is achieved. Art. Significant portion dedicated to depicting warfare, tragedy, and death. Music. Ranges from soothing to literally called death metal. Literature. Invented entire genre dedicated to scaring themselves for entertainment. You have horror movies? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, they're great. I love a good scary movie. There's something fun about the adrenaline rush when you know you're actually safe. Jake pulled out his personal device again. I've got some on here if you want to watch. There's this classic called Alien about He paused. About a hostile xenomorph that hunts humans in space. Maybe that's not appropriate right now. You make entertainment about being hunted by alien predators? I mean, the alien's the bad guy in the movie. The human is the hero who fights back and survives through ingenuity and determination and... Okay, I'm seeing how this isn't helping my case. Director Karzoon had pulled up additional files, his mandibles trembling. It says here that humans have a refuse-to-die reflex. Your bodies flood with chemicals that increase strength and pain tolerance when threatened. Oh, the adrenaline response. Yeah, that's a thing. Fight or flight. Except humans are really good at the fight part. We've got these stories about people lifting cars off trapped children, or walking miles with broken bones to get help, or fighting off predators with their bare hands. The human body is actually really good at survival when it needs to be. Fighting off predators with bare hands. Thornbeak repeated faintly. I mean, it doesn't happen often. Most of us live in cities now where the biggest threat is traffic or food poisoning from that sketchy taco truck. Jake was trying to be reassuring. It wasn't working. Look, I know the threat assessment thing is saying scary stuff, but humans are actually really peaceful now. We got bored of fighting each other, so we invented sports and video games and competitive cooking shows instead. We channel all that aggression into non-lethal stuff. You got bored of warfare? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Yeah, turns out killing each other was bad for the economy and also morally wrong, so we mostly stopped. We still have militaries for defense and stuff, but we're way more interested in exploring space and making art and arguing about pizza toppings now. The console added a new line to its assessment. Species redirected apex predator instincts into recreational and cultural pursuits. Threat remains but is voluntarily suppressed through social conditioning. Current danger level depends entirely on context and provocation. Jake, I said carefully, what makes humans angry? What would cause you to become dangerous? He thought about it for a moment, and the look on his face became very serious. It was the first time I'd seen him stop smiling since he arrived. Threats to things we care about: family, friends, innocent people, injustice, cruelty, hurting kids or animals. That kind of stuff makes humans really angry. He paused. But also, we care about a lot of things. We care about people we've never met. We care about animals we've never seen. We care about places we'll never visit. Humans have this weird tendency to adopt the entire universe as something worth protecting once we decide we like it. And that's when I understood what the console was trying to tell us. Humans weren't dangerous because they were aggressive. They were dangerous because they were empathetic. They were persistence predators who could decide anything was worth protecting and then would absolutely refuse to stop protecting it no matter what stood in their way. The most terrifying predator in the galaxy was one that could love you. The station-wide alarm was now broadcasting in every language in the galactic database. Somewhere in the background I could hear it cycling through Krillian, Mantrek, Avix, and about 40 other species warning calls. The human translation came through as "Catastrophic threat detected. All personnel proceed to emergency shelters." This is not a drill. Jake looked mortified. "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cause all this. Should I just go back to my ship?" "Lockdown protocols are in effect," Director Karzoon said, his voice cracking with stress. "Nobody goes anywhere until we assess the situation." "The situation being me?" Jake gestured at himself. "I'm 5'9" and I work for the Park Service. My most dangerous weapon is my strongly worded citations for illegal camping." The conference room doors burst open, and about a dozen security officers poured in, weapons drawn. Behind them came representatives from the other species councils, all demanding to know why Vigilance Prime was having a Category 5 emergency. Ambassador Quillnex, a crystalline shard who normally maintained perfect composure, was refracting light in panicked patterns. "What's happening? Are we under attack? Is it the Void Collective?" "Worse," Thornbeak squawked. "Humans." "Humans?" Ambassador Tross, a aquatic deepling in his mobile tank, made a bubbling sound of confusion. "The new species, the soft ones with the chemical rockets? They're persistence predators!" Thornbeak was fully panicking now. "From a death world, they eat other predators." "I had a salad for lunch," Jake offered weakly. The room erupted into chaos. Everyone was talking or clicking or bubbling at once. The security officers didn't know whether to point their weapons at Jake or lower them. Jake himself just stood in the middle of it all, looking increasingly uncomfortable and guilty. I had to take control before this turned into a complete disaster. I activated my command voice, the one that had stopped riots and space pirate boarding parties. "Everyone shut up!" Blessed silence. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, keeping 3 of my arms visible and non-threatening while using the 4th to update the security protocols. "We're going to calm down, we're going to think rationally, and we're going to handle this like professionals. But the threat assessment," Karzoon started. "Is technically correct," I interrupted, and completely missing the context. I turned to Jake. "Ambassador Kowalski, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." "Okay?" Jake looked nervous but met my eyes. Those forward-facing predator eyes that evolution had given him for tracking prey. "If I threatened you right now, what would you do?" The room went dead silent. Everyone was waiting for his answer. Jake considered the question carefully. "Depends on the threat. If you just, insulted me or something, I'd probably be hurt, but I'd try to talk it out. If you actually tried to hurt me, I'd defend myself, yeah. If you tried to hurt someone else, especially someone weaker who couldn't defend themselves, I'd stop you, whatever it took." He paused. "But you're not threatening me, you're just scared. So I'm going to keep standing here, hands visible, and try to convince you that humans are friends, not enemies. And if we decided we needed to contain you, put you in a holding cell until Earth sends someone to retrieve you?" Jake's expression shifted slightly, not angry, sad. "Then I'd be disappointed that we couldn't talk this out. But I'd go peacefully, because fighting you wouldn't help humans make friends in the galaxy. I'd rather be a prisoner than a reason for humans to be rejected." Ambassador Quillneck's refracted, thoughtful patterns. You'd surrender? Even though you could fight? What kind of ambassador would I be if I started a war on first contact? Jake laughed, but it was bitter. Look, I get it. You looked at our history and our biology, and you saw something scary. And yeah, humans can be scary. We've got a lot of blood in our past, but we learned. We grew. We decided we wanted to be better than our worst instincts. That's the whole point of civilization, right? But the threat is still there. Thornbeak said, quieter now. You're still dangerous. So are you, Jake pointed out. You've got a beak that could probably take my eye out, and you can fly. Officer Glim could probably suffocate me if he wanted to. Commander Wreck has 4 arms and looks like he could bench press my whole family. Everyone's dangerous to someone. The question is whether we choose to be dangerous to each other, or whether we choose to be friends. I found myself lowering my weapon. It felt right. The console classified you as a catastrophic threat, I said slowly, because you are a catastrophic threat, but only to things that threaten what you care about. The question we need to answer is, what do humans care about? Jake smiled, and this time it didn't look threatening, it looked hopeful. Right now, making a good first impression, not screwing up humanity's introduction to the galaxy, maybe making some friends. Definitely want to try some alien food that isn't going to horrify anyone. He looked pointedly at his bag of beef jerky. Glim, bless his gelatinous heart, oozed forward. I believe him. You believe everyone, Thornbeak muttered. Yes, but I'm usually right about people. Glim extended a pseudopod toward Jake. You want to be friends with the galaxy, yes? More than anything, Jake said, and I could hear the sincerity in his voice. Humans have dreamed about meeting aliens for hundreds of years. We've made movies about it, written books about it, sent messages into space hoping someone would answer. We've been so lonely, you know. Finding out we're not alone in the universe, it's everything to us. I'm not going to ruin that by being a jerk. Director Carzoon's mandibles clicked in what I recognized as resignation. Someone update the threat classification. Add a context note. I pulled up the console and started typing. Under the catastrophic threat assessment, I added, threat level conditional on relationship status. Humans are loyal pack predators who extend pack loyalty to allies. Recommended approach, friendship. Do not threaten humans or things humans care about. Absolutely do not threaten human young or domesticated companions. What should we classify them as officially? Quillneck asked. I thought about it. Looking at Jake standing there in his ridiculous Hawaiian shirt, holding his bag of predator snacks, smiling hopefully at a room full of aliens who'd just had collective panic attacks about his existence. Friendly, but do not provoke under any circumstances, I said finally. Like their dogs. Jake's face lit up. You guys have been researching dogs? Your threat assessment mentioned them extensively, Thornbeak admitted. Loyal companions who are absolutely terrifying when protecting their humans. That's actually really accurate. Jake pulled out his device again. Want to see more pictures? And just like that, we went from intergalactic incident to interspecies bonding over pet photos. Only humans could cause and diffuse a crisis in the same afternoon. 3 hours later, the alarms were off, the lockdown was lifted, and Jake Kowalski had somehow befriended half the station. I found him in the cafeteria, teaching Glim how to do a fist bump while explaining the concept of high fives to a fascinated crowd of junior officers. No, you've got to add the little explosion sound at the end. That's what makes it cool. Jake was demonstrating with exaggerated hand movements. See? Fist bump, explosion noise, boom. It's a human thing. We're very into celebratory hand gestures. Glim attempted it with his pseudopod, made a sound like a wet balloon deflating, and everyone laughed. It was friendly laughter this time, not terrified laughter. I settled into a seat next to Director Carzoon, who was nursing something that looked like liquid anxiety in a cup. Well, that was an afternoon. I've filed 17 incident reports, Carzoon said wearily, and I still don't know how to classify what happened. Did we almost have an intergalactic crisis, or did we just panic over nothing? Both, I said. The threat assessment was accurate. Jake Kowalski is dangerous. All humans are dangerous, but we were asking the wrong question. What's the right question? Not how dangerous are they, but who are they dangerous to? I pulled up my updated security files. I've been doing more research. Humans have this concept they call protective instinct. They've built their entire modern society around protecting the weak, the young, the vulnerable. They have social systems designed to care for those who can't care for themselves. They pass laws against cruelty to animals. They create nature preserves to protect species that aren't even their own. They're pack predators who've decided the whole universe is their pack, Karzoon said quietly. Exactly, and that makes them the most dangerous ally or the most dangerous enemy, depending on which side you're on. Across the cafeteria, Jake was showing a group of mixed species something on his device. From their reactions, it appeared to be more pictures of Earth animals. A young Mantrek analyst was actually touching the screen, fascinated by an image of what looked like a large feline. That's a tiger, Jake was explaining enthusiastically. They're endangered, so we protect them now. Used to hunt them, which was stupid. So now we have sanctuaries and breeding programs to make sure they don't go extinct. They're beautiful, right? Absolutely magnificent predators. Humans love them. You love other predators? The young Mantrek asked, confused. We love everything. Dogs, cats, wolves, bears, sharks, octopi. We even think spiders are cool once you get over the initial creepiness. There's this whole movement to protect bees because they're essential to our ecosystem. Bees, tiny insects that can sting you, and humans are like, we must preserve them at all costs. Ambassador Quillnex joined us at the table, still refracting thoughtful patterns. I've been reviewing the Human Cultural Database. Did you know they have a genre of entertainment called documentaries, where they simply observe and record animal behavior because they find it interesting? They sent robots to other planets just to look at rocks, Thornbeak added, landing at the table with his feathers finally settling into a normal position. Not to mine them or colonize them, just to study them and appreciate them. Who does that? Humans, I said. Humans do that. We sat in silence for a moment, watching Jake teach an impromptu lesson on Earth biodiversity to an increasingly large crowd. He'd pulled up images of coral reefs, rainforests, Arctic tundra, and was explaining each ecosystem with genuine passion and excitement. I need to update the official first contact protocols, Karzoon said finally. We've been assuming that species are either predators or prey, aggressive or passive, dangerous or harmless. Humans don't fit any of those categories. What category do they fit? Quillnex asked. I thought about Jake's earlier words, about how humans got bored of fighting each other and invented sports instead, about how they channeled their predator instincts into protection rather than aggression, about how they'd looked at a universe that was vast and terrifying and empty and decided they wanted to fill it with friends. Hopeful, I said. Humans are hopeful predators. They're dangerous because they refuse to give up on things they care about, and they care about everything. My datapad chimed with a message from the Galactic Council. They wanted a full report on the incident and a recommendation for how to classify humanity going forward. I started typing. After extensive analysis and direct observation, I recommend classifying humans as Tier 1 allies with conditional threat assessment. Humans are apex predators from a Class 4 death world who have voluntarily suppressed their predatory instincts in favor of pack bonding and protective behaviors. They pose zero threat to peaceful species and catastrophic threat to aggressive ones. Recommend full diplomatic relations and cultural exchange programs. Also recommend preparing the galaxy for human recreational activities, which include, but are not limited to, extreme sports, horror entertainment, competitive everything, and adopting random animals as pets. I paused, then added one more line. Note, humans are statistically likely to attempt befriending dangerous species, hostile environments, and potentially hazardous phenomena because they think it's interesting. This should be monitored but not discouraged, as human curiosity has historically led to significant scientific advancement. Just be prepared for incident reports. Karzoon read over my shoulder and clicked his mandibles in what might have been amusement. You're recommending we let humans be humans? I'm recommending we accept what humans are, friendly, curious, persistent, protective pack predators who will absolutely adopt the entire galaxy as their pack if we let them. I hit send on the report. Could be worse allies to have. Could be worse enemies too, Thornbeak muttered, but his feathers were relaxed now. Jake noticed us watching and waved enthusiastically. Hey, Commander Vrek, come check this out. I'm showing everyone pictures of the Grand Canyon. It's this massive gorge on Earth carved by water over millions of years, and people visit it just to look at it because it's beautiful. Some people even hike down into it for fun, even though it's like 100 degrees in summer and you have to carry all your water and it's another example of humans doing dangerous things recreationally? I called back. Well, yeah, but it's also really pretty. Jake grinned. You guys should visit Earth sometime. We'd love to show you around. We've got mountains and oceans and forests and cities. And the food, oh man, wait until you try Earth food. We've got thousands of different cuisines from all our different cultures. Different cultures? Glim asked. You have multiple human cultures. Oh yeah, hundreds, maybe thousands, depending on how you count them. We've got different languages, foods, music, art styles, all on one planet. It used to cause problems, but now we mostly celebrate it. Cultural diversity and all that. I watched Quilnex's patterns shift to something that might have been astonishment. You have multiple distinct cultural groups and you haven't fragmented into subspecies or tribal warfare? Well, we did the warfare thing for a while, Jake admitted sheepishly. But we got better. Turned out we're much happier learning about each other's differences than fighting about them. Plus, shared planet, shared problems. Climate change and asteroid threats don't care what language you speak. They united their entire species against common threats, Thornbeak said quietly. That's why they're so good at cooperation. And why they're so protective, I added. They learned that survival means working together. My datapad chimed again. The Galactic Council had responded to my report with surprising speed. Classification approved. Proceed with diplomatic relations. Human delegation invited to next council session. Please advise humans that formal council chambers have strict protocols regarding recreational activities and pet adoption. I showed the message to Karzoon, who made a sound like grinding gears. They're worried humans will try to adopt council members as pets, aren't they? Or challenge them to competitive activities, I said. Remember, Jake wanted to race me within 5 minutes of meeting. I heard that, Jake called over. And the offer still stands, Commander. Seriously, you look fast. It would be fun. See? I gestured toward him. Humans see potential in everything. As the cafeteria session continued, with Jake now explaining the concept of cuisine fusion and fusion restaurants, I realized something profound. The galaxy had spent millennia categorizing species by their threat levels, their evolutionary advantages, their capacity for violence. We'd built entire diplomatic frameworks around managing danger and preventing conflict. But humans had evolved past that binary thinking. They'd looked at their own capacity for violence and chosen to redirect it. They'd taken their predatory instincts and used them to protect instead of destroy. They'd seen a universe full of potential threats and decided to make friends with it instead. We'd been trying to figure out how dangerous humans were. The answer was, incredibly dangerous, but only to those who threatened their pack. And they'd already decided the galaxy was their pack. Commander Rek? Jake had approached our table while I was lost in thought. I just wanted to say thanks for, not spacing me or whatever earlier. I know the alarm thing was scary for everyone. I'm sorry about that. You have nothing to apologize for, I said. We overreacted based on incomplete data. Still, I get it. New species, weird biology, everyone's cautious. He smiled. But I hope this can be the start of something good, Humans are really excited about meeting other species. We've been dreaming about this for centuries. The whole idea that we're not alone in the universe. It's everything we hoped for. What did you hope for? Quilnex asked. Jake's expression turned thoughtful. Friends, I guess. Adventure. Learning new things. Seeing how other species solved problems we're still working on. Sharing what we've learned. Maybe helping each other out. He shrugged. Humanity's been on Earth for a couple 100,000 years, but we've only been able to leave our planet for about a century. We're the new kids on the block, cosmically speaking. We've got a lot to learn. And what are you willing to teach? Thornbeak asked. Whatever you want to know. Jake's enthusiasm was infectious. We've got science, art, music, literature, history, philosophy, cooking techniques, sports, engineering, medicine. We've spent our whole existence figuring stuff out because we were curious. We'd love to share it. I thought about my report to the council, about humans being hopeful predators. Looking at Jake's open, eager expression, I realized hope might be humanity's most dangerous weapon of all. Not hope as naivety, but hope as determination. The kind of hope that landed robots on Mars just to see what was there. The kind of hope that built societies around protecting the vulnerable. The kind of hope that looked at the vast, empty darkness between stars and said, I bet there's someone out there who wants to be friends. That kind of hope was unstoppable. Well then, I said, standing up, how about that tour? You wanted to see the station's hydroponics bay, and I believe the botanists would be very interested in comparing notes with someone from a Class 4 death world. Jake's face lit up. Really? That would be amazing. Oh man, wait until I tell them about Venus flytraps and poison ivy and kudzu. Earth has the most metal plants. You guys are going to love this. As we left the cafeteria, Jake already launching into an explanation of photosynthesis variations, I glanced back at Carzoon, Quillnecks, and Thornbeak. They were watching us go with expressions that ranged from bemused to cautiously optimistic. The galaxy was about to get a lot more interesting, and maybe, just maybe, a lot friendlier too. After all, humans had decided we were their pack now. We never stood a chance.